Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here and today is the start of the BookSwapAthon and so I will be starting my books for that. The first book I'm going to start is Death Acres, which is by Dr. Bill Bass and John Jefferson. This is the story of the body farm in the Tennessee Hills. It's run by Bass and it looks into forensics from what I can remember from Stiff, which I read by Mary Roach, which I love. She's brilliant at making all sorts of non-fiction subjects really engaging, in my opinion. It's about this body farm where they bury bodies in different, that have been donated after they died, and they put them in different places, in different types of soil, in different parts of a place, treated in different ways to look at sort of decomposition and look at different things to help with forensics and police investigations. So I'm really looking forward to finding out about this. I'm going to try something that I don't normally do. I really struggle at reading more than one book at a time, even if that's a fiction and a non-fiction. Even if I set myself a chapter a day of my non-fiction and then just read as much as I want of my fiction, I really struggle with any more than one book. But I'm going to try. So I'm going to start with the non-fiction. I haven't decided how I'm going to break it up yet. I might break it up into a chapter a day, I have to see. And then the other one that I'm also going to pick up is Nowhere But Here by Liza Palmer. This is a women's fiction novel. It is about a young woman who returns to her hometown after not being there for quite a while, and I think it's going to be sort of a tale of family and a tale of sort of finding yourself and finding who you want to be, I suppose. So I'm looking forward to giving this one a go, and I think the cover on this is really pretty. So I'm going to try those two first, so I'll come back to you later when I've read some. Hiya, so it's now later on Sunday and I have been reading Death's Acre all day. We ended up going to a soft play today because the weather is not very good and Matilda loves a good soft play, and we were there for quite a long time actually, and so I managed to read just under 100 pages of this. It's about a 300-page book, so that's really good, especially for non-fiction for me. And I was expecting this to be one of those books that I had to read maybe a chapter a day just to sort of get through, and I don't know why I do this to myself all the time. I'm always thinking that non-fiction books are going to be a hard read, that I'm going to find them a slog, that you've got to put in loads of effort to learn anything that's non-fiction, and that's just not the case with a lot of the non-fiction, especially the stuff that I'm drawn to anyway. This is very readable, very palatable, very interesting, and definitely on a level that I can enjoy. Now, Dr. Bill Bass here is really telling his professional history. So he's talking about what got him into being an anthropologist, what got him into forensic anthropology, his tenure at different universities, the different things he set up, the police cases he worked with, what then stemmed his interest in creating this body farm, what was the catalyst for that. And at 100 pages we're just really at this point where this chapter is called about the body farm. We're just looking into the actual body farm being devised and created, I suppose. It's just so interesting. I'm learning little things about differences between skulls, about how he teaches anthropology, about how the first things that he looks at bones are age, sex, stature and race. So he can tell all of those from the bones first of all, so he can tell you if it is a black female under a certain age and whose height is 4'2", for example, and he's explaining how you can do that. As he's talking about it, he discusses sort of some of the cases and how that came about and the differences, and I thought it was intriguing. He talks about this sort of brow bone here. He talks about here on a man there's like a brow ridge on a skull, and in a female there isn't that ridge. And we were sitting there and I just sort of leant over and like touched my husband, and he was going, "What are you doing? Why are you touching my eyebrows? What is going on?" I was going, "I was just checking." "Oh yeah, it is true, there's like a ridge on yours, there is not mine." I found it really fascinating, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's really interesting listening to him talk about the cases that he's been involved in and how they worked things out, and how he came across some clues, how he managed to gain the evidence in terms of gauging who these people are and potentially how they've died. And yeah, I just think it's really fascinating, and this is definitely a palatable read. So I'm looking forward to carrying on, finding out a bit more about this body farm and how that came about, and a bit more about his later life. But I definitely, so far, this is well on the way to being a 4/5 star read for me. It's really interesting, and normally I would be alternating this with another book, like with a fiction book, just because I find non-fiction, maybe I should do a bit of non-fiction and then it might be too heavy, so I'll move on to some fiction. But I think I'm just going to carry on with the way I like to read, and I'm just going to read this whole book you know, straight through, and then move on to my next book, because I'm thoroughly enjoying it and I really don't feel like I need a break. It's a bit of a slower read than maybe a fiction book would be for me, but you know, I've already done 100 pages, there's 200 left. I think I can definitely get this finished by tomorrow, and then start on my next book. And I'm so pleased I started with this one. Sometimes I leave the non-fiction till the end because it's a bit daunting, but I thought, no, I'm going to kick off with the non-fiction and just get to it. And this is also a book for my book club at school, so yeah, I'm really pleased I started with this, and I'll catch up with you again when I've finished it and let you know my final thoughts. Hi guys, so it's now Tuesday, first thing in the morning, and I finished Deathacre. I loved this. I ended up reading all night last night and just finished off the final chapter this morning. I thought this was brilliant. I thought it was a really good and interesting look into Dr. Bass's life, what led him to creating the body farm, the things that go on at the body farm, the crime investigations that they've helped with on the body farm, the people that he's trained and worked with and what they've gone on to do. We have a brief mention of Patricia Cornwell and how that changed the body farm, and how it brought a lot more attention to the body farm and got people more interested in the work that went on there. I just thought this was really engaging, very well written, really nicely organised. It was organised almost by its sort of investigations that came up and what that led to and the changes that that made, but sort of also in a bit of a chronological order. We had a little bit of Dr. Bass's personal life in there, looking into you know, his different wives. And the deaths that he's come across in his life and his family life. So I just thought this was brilliant, and I don't see how I can't give it 5 stars. So yay, 5 stars for my first BookSwapAthon book. And now I shall be moving on to probably a fiction book. Well, definitely a fiction book, because all my others are fiction, but I haven't decided which yet, so I'll come back to you in a bit and let you know which. Hi guys, so I've just finished book 2 of the BookSwapAthon, and I picked up Nowhere But Home by Liza Palmer, and I'm so pleased I did. This ended up being another 5-star read for me, so that's 2 5-star reads during this BookSwapAthon already. I picked this up a long time ago on the recommendation of someone who I now can't remember who, which is really annoying, because I really want to thank them. This, I thought as I was going in, was going to be a sort of gentle, chick litty type adult contemporary read. We're following our main character Queenie, and she is a chef. She is a transient chef. She's been working all over America, really sort of avoiding being home in Texas, where she grew up. There's obviously stuff that's happened in her hometown, and she's avoiding it where possible. Her family have got a sort of bad reputation, and it's led to people judging the children. And in small town life, there is, you know, obviously a hierarchy of the sort of royal bigwig families, who are the ones that everyone sort of looks up to and worships, and then you obviously have the people who are regarded a bit as a waste of space or trailer trash, and are treated unfairly before judging them. Queenie, for various reasons, ends up going back to Texas at the start of the book to see her sister and her nephew, and to work as a chef, giving the meals to people on death row, their last meal. And we're just finding out a bit about her life, finding out about, you know, why she's left home, finding out about this small town she grew up in. There's a boy, or a man now, and just this sort of small town life, and coming to terms with things that happen in your life, and being strong and knowing who you are. And I really loved it. I mean, I was crying at parts, I was smiling at parts, and I just thought this was really brilliant. It really touched on some really interesting subjects. And I thought our main character was really well-rounded, and she was flawed, but she had some really interesting characteristics, and she felt like a real person. And I'm definitely going to be reading some Liza Palmer again, and if they don't make a film out of this one day, I will be sorely disappointed, because it's definitely got the makings of a really good movie. Yeah, so another 5-star read. I'm so excited to move on to my next one now, so I will get back to you when I've read that. Hi guys, so it's now the middle of the day of day 6 of the book swapathon, and I've just finished my next book, and that was Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston. This was the book that I got recommended by the person I was buddied up with. As I said before, the book hadn't arrived that they got me, and then they realised that they'd got me a book I'd read before, and so I asked for some recommendations of ones that they'd really enjoyed, and Heart of Iron was one of the ones on that list. Ashley Poston wrote Geekerella, which was a sort of Cinderella, modern Cinderella tale, which I really enjoyed. It was okay. It wasn't like brilliant or mind-blowing, but it was okay. So I was interested to see how Ashley did when she turned her hand to science fiction. And this one sort of drew me in a little bit from the blurb. I really ended up enjoying this. It's set with multiple character perspectives. We've got at least 5 different characters that we're flitting chapter from chapter into their different thoughts, and I often find that that is a really dangerous writing move. Sometimes I can find that really difficult to get into. I find myself getting confused, I find myself jumping around, but I thought Ashley did a really great job with this, and I really enjoyed hearing those different characters, and I really thought it helped to create a sort of whole sense. Our sort of main character, I suppose, in this is Anna. She is a 17-year-old girl who doesn't really remember much about her past. She was found along with her metal, which I will explain in a minute, by a sort of ship's captain, a rogue ship captain who, you know, a little bit tenuous with the law, perhaps, you know, a bit piratey, lives on the outskirts of society, and she's been brought up by this pirate captain and the crew. Now, metals in this world are robots. They are robots that are used to serve people, and specifically in this sort of planet or place with the kingdom, which has an iron throne, and on this throne the ruler is the person who can put on this particular special crown that doesn't rust. So it's mainly people that follow down the females of this particular bloodline, but previously, before Anna sort of remembers, there was a mass fire, and all of the current bloodline, including the only female that had been born for centuries, was burnt and killed. And so we're following sort of that and the political thing about that, because a new emperor is about to be crowned. And then we're also following Anna and her quest to try and find this particular ship. She's been looking for the coordinates to this ship because her metal, the robot that has been with her the whole time and who she really loves, she loves dearly, she is sort of glitching, and she wants to try and find on this ship a way of saving him. Now, as a metal, he is you know, he can do a lot of different things sort of robotic wise, but also he lacks emotions. That's the biggest thing about metals, is that they haven't been programmed to have emotions. And it's interesting what we find out later on. I won't spoil it and sort of go into that. We've also got various different representations on here. We have an LGBTQIA plus character, or a couple of characters. We have a relationship between them, which I think is beautiful. In fact, we have a couple of relationships with LGBTQIA plus characters in here, and they're just really lovely and beautifully done. And they're also, you know, just as prevalent because of this flicking of storylines. Although Anna's story is one that we're following the most intently, the side characters, or what you would class as the side characters normally in a book like this, don't feel like side characters at all. They feel like important characters in their own right. So I'm looking forward to reading the sequel of this when it comes out. I think it's going to come out in 2019, and I definitely will be reading this. I hope it's a 2-book, but maybe it'll be a trilogy, I don't know, but I quite like the idea of this having, you know, being a 2-book series, but we'll see. I really enjoyed the front cover of this, and it hits one of my Newt's readathon targets as well. So I really enjoyed that. I think this is going to be the end for me for the book swap-a-thon. I've read 3 books. It wasn't quite as many as I hoped, but the books I've read, I had 2 5-star reads and a 4-star read, so I really couldn't have hoped for better in the week. The reason I don't think I'm going to get any more or finish a complete book by the end tomorrow is that tomorrow me and Matilda are leaving Dorset, where we've been for the last 2 weeks, and we are going to Devon, where I'm very lucky that my mother-in-law has a house, and myself, my husband, my daughter and all the cousins and grandparents are going to Devon for a week. And this weekend is a big festival with sandcastle competitions and live music and fireworks and all sorts. So tomorrow we'll be driving there for most of the day, getting ourselves settled in, so there's just not going to be a lot of time for reading. So I'm going to sign off my vlog here, and then I'm going to do another vlog of my time in Devon while I'm there, and show you a little bit of the weekend, because the place we're staying is really beautiful and it's right on a beach. And I will talk to you about what I've been reading, because I'm sure I'm going to read loads when I'm there too. And I'm just giving this a real final push now to finish as many newts as I can. I can't wait to do my wrap up at the end of the month and let you know more about how many newts I've managed to complete, and how much money I've raised for my Bookopoly jar this month. It's quite a lot. And it's not long before I'll get to smash that open with Janet and see how much we have for our little spree. Anyway, thanks for joining me this week, and I'm really pleased to have been able to tell you about some brilliant books, and I look forward to speaking to you all soon. Bye for now, BookTube.